I think we're live at this point. There we go.
Are we? Hi
Yes,
guys.
we're live.
Well, and I want to go live on my people too, so I'm gonna try to do this really quick, and I'm gonna try to do it vertical just because I don't want to take up any more time. Okay, so cat, and Joe. Just gotta keep it simple. All right. Okay, customize for each destination. Nope, saves changes. Okay, I think we're live everywhere. Okay, that was complicated, guys. Sometimes, I don't know why I got Windows 11 installed this week, and it's just, if it's not one thing, it's another. I got Windows 11 installed on my computer this week because I thought, well, my internet went down last week, and I thought, well, I'll just get it all, got a new router. Yeah, I'll just get it all done at one time. So I figured that, it said, well, you can update to Windows 11. And I thought, well, okay, I'll just do that because I'm changing everything else. I'm trying to get back up to the internet. I was out for 2 days last week. Anyway, so I download Windows 11 and then I go try to do this live stream, which is always not that tough on my end, right, Dan? I mean, this usually goes fairly simple for me. And my mic didn't work. The camera didn't. I mean,
we had some technical issues, but live and learn. That's okay. Live and learn.
We're live now.
On the other side of that coin, we have some fantastic content today. Stuff that you've got to know, and the viewers have to know.
Yes.
Cat pulled some incredible. In fact, let's get right into it because I just thought this stuff was totally compelling. So
I pulled some really cool stats today. And let's just start with the market stats first. So let's start with like King County. Hold on here. Let me get my sheets held up here. I'll just make sure I'm still on center. I feel like I'm kind of cockeyed here. Maybe I should prop this side of the computer up. Hi, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing today. I need help. Okay. So we do have some interesting data today. So what's King County doing? How is the King County real estate market doing? So we've got 1.2 months supply of inventory. 27% of sellers set offer review dates. 43% of sellers in King County got under contract within the first 7 days. Pretty good. 51% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market. So still a pretty good market in King County. Okay, so let's move on. What is Snohomish County real estate market doing? Well, we're back down to 0.9 months supply of inventory. So we had a little bit of inventory chewed up over the last few weeks. 25% of sellers have set offer review dates. 38% of sellers went under contract within the first 7 days, and 52% of sellers went under contract within the first 14 days.
Snohomish sounds a little bit stronger than King County, just a smidge.
Snohomish lost some steam in their 0 to 7 days getting under contract. Only 38% went under contract. The previous week, it was 48%. So they're really slowing down. King County is slowing down as well. They had a really strong showing last week, and so did Snohomish. So both counties, we had a little surge. So that would have been mid-August to the third, fourth week of August were pretty good weeks in the real estate market for King and Snohomish County. That has pulled back this last 7 to 14 days. So I think the increase in interest rates over 7% really, really put the brakes on. Not to mention we're talking end of summer here.
Right.
So I think that's essentially what's going on.
Right.
But okay, I'm going to do a jacket change because you know how I feel about wearing the same jacket for every county. Can't do it, Dan. I can't do it. Sorry, guys. I know it's annoying, but I'm gonna do it because I want you to watch my videos. If you see the same jacket, you're gonna scroll past. Oh, and you know what? I got a special treat today. I'm doing a glass change. My glasses, I'm coordinating them with my outfit.
Oh,
Yeah. So let's just see, what do we have here?
We're
Oh,
going
we've
blue.
got
Look at
navy
those
blue.
glasses. Goodness.
There's my microphone. Got navy blue blazer.
Oh my
Got
goodness.
some blue glasses.
Looking sharp.
You're a Woodinville real estate agent. Your favorite Woodinville real estate agent is I'm high on stats today. I got to tell you, I've got some data I can't wait to share with you guys. But for now, we're just going to move on to what the counties are doing. So we've got Pierce, Skagit, and Mason to still cover. And then we're going to get into the juicy stuff, which has got me all jacked up. I'm super excited. So I love my stats. Anyway, okay. So what's the Pierce County real estate market doing right now? Pierce County, 1.2 months supply of inventory. 19% of sellers set offer review dates. 34% of sellers went under contract within the first 7 days on the market.
That's not bad.
And 39% of sellers went under contract within the first 14 days on the market. So Pierce County, it's definitely the sellers are losing a little bit of, faith in the market. It's really when you get down to 19% of sellers setting offer review dates, the ones that set the offer review dates are really looking at potentially missing buyers when you set
what? I just had an idea. We were talking about earlier today. What was that app that you can purchase the songs?
It's Lickd, Lickd, and you can buy music. And utilize it on a lot of the social media platforms. It's like $15 a month, and then you can buy a track for $8. So, but it allows you to use music with your videos, is what that does.
I just thought of something. If we got, in fact, I'll spring for it. Linda Ronstadt, poor pitiful me. I think every time we have some lousy stats that come in from one of these counties, we can just cue up the music. Poor pitiful me. Anyway, that was my idea.
No, Dan. No, that's not a good look. No,
that's not a good look.
No, no, we can't do that to the counties. That's terrible.
We can back it up with if they're done in Pierce County, we can back that up. Poor pitiful me, followed by bad boys. What you gonna do when it comes to you?
I think we better just start off with the bad boys. The Pierce County folks might get a kick out of that. I'll just play some of my Pink Floyd.
There you go. Okay.
We don't need no education. Don't ask me to sing because I can't. Okay. So, all right. So what the heck is happening in Mason County real estate? 1.8 months supply of inventory. 17% of sellers set offer review dates. 18% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days. And 32% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days. There you have it, folks. Mason County.
That's trouble. As we're going to see
it's softening. It's softening, Dan, and it continues to soften. They've been at 1.8 months supply of inventory for a couple of weeks now, but it is getting larger. It's growing. The number of sellers that are getting under contract has dropped back dramatically. A couple of weeks ago, we had 44% of sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days, and now we're at 18%. And last week we were 21%. So same thing within 14 days on the market. 56% a couple of weeks ago got under contract within the first 14 days, dropped down to 41%, and then this time it's 32%. So we're seeing a significant slowing. And again, I attribute that partially to the time of year, kids going back to school, the interest rates.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, a couple of days ago, 7.5. Oh my gosh, can't. I don't know what to do with that. It's just, we're not used to it. Not that I don't remember higher interest rates. I do, but I don't like it. No. It's been 20 years. That's a long time. I just like it, Dan. I don't like it.
It's painful. It just
It's
is.
painful. I tell you, it's painful. Uh-oh, it just dropped. Oh no, I dropped something I needed. It went right underneath my deck.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Oh shoot.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What? I can't get it. It's inaccessible.
Oh, it's under the deck.
It fell through the slats.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna have to take a board out. I can't believe I put it here and it went through. Oh well. All right. Okay. Well, so what's going on in the Skagit County real estate market? 1.6 months supply of inventory in Skagit County. 29% of sellers set offer review dates. 33% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days. And 36% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market. So Skagit County kind of all over the board the last few weeks. But, you know, I think we could say an overall softening.
Yeah.
Overall softening happening in Skagit County, consistent with all the other counties. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Hi, guys. Hi, TikTokers.
That kind of gets us to the juicy part here coming up.
It does. And hold on 1 second. I need to grab my little black book that's got, it's my, you know, that's my Bible of real estate. Hold on.
Okay. And while you are getting that, I'm going to add something here to the stream.
Okay. So I've got stats hot off the presses today. It's a concept I came up with when I was thinking about content for this week's live. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to come up with a list of things that would be mistakes for sellers to make when they're listing their home to go on the market. And so while I was coming up with these ideas for the list of things that would, you know, that they shouldn't do when they go on the market, I was like, well, how can I prove that? How can I quantify why you shouldn't do these things, make these mistakes? So I came up with a way. And you know how I did that, Dan?
Looked it up on the NMLS?
No, I use statistics. You know me, I love my stats. So I thought, what better way to illustrate to a seller why they should listen to me and why they shouldn't make these mistakes, right? And so,
and let me tell you, when we're going through these stats, and I'm not telling you, you know all this stuff. You're the one educating me, but the folks that are watching, this is really compelling. The reason why these stats are so important that Kat talks about, the days under contract, 7 days, 14 days, it's these graphics that we're going to talk about right now, because those statistics translate into money coming right out of your pocket. Right. I'm not joking.
Market time costs you money, and that's a fact.
Yes. Time is money.
That was my thesis. That's what I set out to prove. And so all the mistakes a seller can make, and we'll go over those in a minute, can all lead to longer market time. And so, but I wanted to show exactly what it would cost you depending on the length of time it cost you to be on the market. And this is phenomenal. So what this chart shows you is that 0 to 7 days. So I based it on price per square foot. So 0 to 7 days on the market, and this is Snohomish County. So let me start over. So I pulled the data from the NWMLS for Snohomish County for the last 180 days for homes that have sold. Whoops.
So this is not made up data. It's not hypothetical data. It's not any of that stuff. This is real. This is what actually has happened in the last 180 days.
That's right. And so I took that data and I broke it down by time frames. So the first time frame I took a look at was how many homes sold within the first 0 to 7 days, and what that average sale price looked like, and then the average square foot of that home. And so for those homes that sold within the 0 to 7 days, and I divided that out. And what I got was for the 0 to 7 days is $400 a square foot is what those people got when they sold their home within, those sellers received when they sold their home within the first 7 days on the market. So $400 a square foot. That's showing up on that first bar. Sorry for you guys on TikTok, you're not seeing that bar graph. Let me really quick, I'll actually flash that on the screen so you guys can see it. I have that right here. Let me put that up. Let me just kind of show you what we're sort of talking about here. So give you just a little bit of a graphic. So over here on this side is the homes that sold in the first 0 to 7 days. And this is the price per square foot on this column. So it's really interesting. So this one starts at $400 a square foot. So it's fascinating. This is fascinating because I went into this process with a thesis that, if you make a certain number of mistakes when you list your home, that it could cost you time on the market. And so I was trying to calculate, well, what would that look like? What would that cost the seller? And that's where I, came up with the idea to pull stats for this. So, oops, no, I'm on the wrong page.
I'm gonna switch the graphic here so people can see it in dollar terms. We'll
yes,
take a
and
look
so what I was going to go over next. Okay, so let's talk about what happens if you get stuck on. What happens if a home gets stuck on the market 8 to 14 days? And let me tell you, that's not a long time to be on the market. It isn't, but it does cost you money. So I'm always saying, listen, sellers, you should try to get under contract within the first 7 days. For one thing, it is what buyers think is going to happen if you have the really cool house. So, and you're well prepared for the market. So they're expecting you to go under contract within the first 7 days. If you miss that first 7 days, it does cost you. As a matter of fact, you get on average 2.75% less for your home. And that comes out to, with the average price of homes right now is $812,521 in Snohomish County. That would cost you $22,344. So $22,344 if you miss that 0 to 7 day mark. And so these are all just generalities, right? But I'm using average square foot and average sales price. So these are accurate. So there's going to be fluctuation within each, time frame, but it's an indication of what happens, right? It's really just an indication. It's not going to be an exact dollar amount, but it's going to give you an indication. So 8 to 14 days is going to cost you over $20,000 potentially. So now 15 to 30 days. So 15 to 30 days, you get 8% less for your home. So that winds up being, let's see, $368 a square foot.
That's a big drop.
For 15 to 30, yes. And so eight, you know what 8% looks like on the average sales price right now, Dan?
About $64,000.
$65,000. And that's if you don't get sold within the first 2 weeks. So guys, if you've got your house on the market, all the things, staging, I'm going to go through those in just a minute, but you have to do all the things. You really need to get sold within that first 7 days. If not the first 7, the first 14. So it's a huge deal.
What we're really trying to do is avoid having them lose $65,000 on an $800,000
potentially house. And they may lose 30,000, they may lose 100,000 because that's just an average. Right. So but this is real. So these numbers that I'm pulling actually happened over the last 6 months. So I just want people to understand that I'm not making this stuff up. This is literally what the data showed. And I went in testing it. I came in with a hypothesis and I said, what does that look like? And this is what I pulled this morning. And I was pleased to see that my hypothesis was, correct. So, but it's interesting. So 31 to 90 days on the market, $362 a square foot is what you would get for average sales price. That would cost you over $77,000. So if you were on the market 31 to 90 days, it could cost you an average of $71,000. So
wow, that's a lot of money.
That's kind of a big hit. Now, okay, so the real bad boys out there, the ones that really get it wrong. So the ones that sit on the market more than 90 days. And hey, listen, it's not always the seller's fault. Sometimes it's an inherent drawback, an inherent defect, like there's power lines overhead or there's a steep driveway. And those things, those homes need to sit on the market longer. And it just is what it is. And they may not have to do significant price reductions. It's just something they have to find the right buyer for. But for those who have an average home in an average neighborhood that don't have any significant drawbacks, they should be getting under contract prior to 90 days. But if you miss it and you do sit on the market 90 days or more, 11%.
Oh,
that equates to almost $90,000. Now, as a listing agent, I think it's fairly easy for me to demonstrate how, if you make mistakes when you're listing your home and you don't listen to the advice of a professional, it could cost you real money. So market time costs you money, guys. It does. So I know I have clients that think that they should be able to list their home and let it sit on the market for 30, 60 days. They don't care. And that's not going to really matter. But if they got it ready enough, you don't have to do all the things as long as you listen to your agent. If you got a house that's dated, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, but you clean it up, right? Just have it blown out, the interior blown out with fresh white paint, change out the plugs and switches, make sure the exterior paint's in good condition if it's not painted. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and it's going to cost you market time, which equates to money. So, and get it pre-inspected, stage part of it, stage the main living areas, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, best money you ever spent. Because now you're going to have great marketing materials, great photos. You're going to get people in the house, and it's just going to look so much cleaner. And then also have the landscaping spruced up. So you want to make sure that front door is painted really pretty, and that, the driveway is pressure washed, the sidewalks are pressure washed, and the landscapers have come in and put fresh bark down and done a nice job trimming trees and bushes and grass, etc. So, if you don't have to update lighting, you don't have to do all the other things, update the flooring and things like that, because that starts to look like a remodel, right? We're not asking you to remodel. We're actually just it's just in your best interest if you get it clean enough to where we can get good photos and good videos of it, so we can get buyers in there. And then we'll price accordingly. If it was remodeled, you're going to get quite a bit more for it. But the idea is to get you sold within a realistic length of time, so that you're not getting hit with these essentially financial losses because you're sitting on the market longer, which look like price reductions. That's what that looks like. So
the big drop off comes right after 14 days. That
it does, but I will, so if you sold within the first 8 to 14 days, the average price per square foot would be $389 instead of $400 if you sold during the first 7 days on the market. That cost, if you sold 8 to 14 days on the market, that cost to you is $22,344. So it's over $22,000 potentially. And again, that's going to be a range, right? It could be $5,000, could be $40,000, but that's the average of what it costs a seller in price per square foot. I think this is just a really good measure for this type of application for, trying to determine what market time costs a seller. I think this is a really solid way to look at it. Average price per square foot.
Yeah.
15 to 30 days. So that's 8 to 14 days was only cost you 2.75%. So not a huge amount of money. So if you get sold within that first 14 days, you're going to do okay. You're going to do pretty good. What you don't want to do is you don't really want to breach that 14 days. Now, going forward, as we get into fall, that could change a little bit. We're not going to be rushing to drop price unless your competitors are dropping price. So
there you go.
And you need to get sold. So there's that. So
that kind of takes us into the marketing mistake number one that you were mentioning. I'm sorry if I cut in there. So
you did. So I just want to reemphasize. So the 15 to 30 day range. So if you did get sold within the 15 to 30 days, the average price per square foot goes down to $368. And so that's a cost of $65,000, a little over that. So I just wanted to compare and contrast. The big drop really is between 2 and 3 weeks. So, and Dan's got it on screen there for those of you that are not TikTokers. And here, I can show you mine. TikTokers here, look at that. I don't know. Can you see that? Oh, it's reversed, right? Oh, I have it upside down, maybe. No, I don't know. It doesn't. Does it show?
Well,
I don't know if it shows. Anyway, sorry, you guys. But anyway, yeah. So, but the point is that, you know, it really is wise to prepare your house properly for the market, and it makes a financial difference. That's the thing to keep in mind, right?
yeah,
It makes a huge financial difference. I mean,
you're
losing like $90,000 if you're on the market over 90 days.
Yeah.
What's that? 1,000? Is that $1,000 a week?
That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money.
That's $1,000 a week, guys. That's one way to think of it. You know, $1,000 a week. It's a good way to think of it.
Or 2,000 a week.
Is it more than that? So
yeah,
1,000 times 90 days. No, it's 1,000.
It's 1,000.
Look at us go on our math. Live. That's why I like stats. I can use my calculator. Hey, I got to, you know what? I got to put my other jacket on again.
Okay.
Because I don't want you guys to, you know, not watch my videos later because I've got the same jacket on, you know, 2 days in a row or something. All right. Got to grab my jacket. Come right back down. Don't worry. I'm coming.
That's okay.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna go back to my other one because I figure I'll have different types of data. Oh, goodness. All right, here we go. Oh, again with a close-up shot on TikTok, but I'm standing up. I'm sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so we have more to talk about when it comes to did I button my jacket wrong? Pay attention to what I'm doing. There we go. All right. So we will. Oh, I forgot my glasses. Oh, yeah, you guys deserve pink glasses with the purple suit. I hope I don't lose people during these little quick changes. You know, Dan.
No.
I'm not sure if people get amused by this. You know, because I would totally, if I was watching somebody, I'd be like, "What the heck are they doing?" Honestly, guys, we don't know what we're doing. We're just trying to get. I'm just trying to get the word out as to what actually is going on in the real estate market, and that's fun for me. So, you know, I have a little fun along the way. I like to do a little change my outfit kind of thing, you know. So anyway,
well, let's go to 5 ways that we can save people money.
So I have more than 5, Dan. I'm sorry, I changed it up on you.
Oh, well,
I did. I'm sorry, I did. So okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about home selling mistakes, right? How this, you know, how that translates into market time. So one of the ways you can wind up on the market longer is by simply by overpricing your property. And so when I talk about overpricing your property, your agent is going to give you a range. And it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight range, you know, and you need to pay attention to what they're saying. If you're just below a major price point, so your agent says that, not sure you can go 900, but feel like you could do 880, 885. You know, in my world, as a real estate broker, I would push you to 900 if the market was fairly strong. So if we saw 35% of sellers getting under contract within the first week on the market, I would push you to 9. Now, if we're headed into a market like we are right now, where we're seeing that number come down into the 30s and maybe lower, and a lot more sellers are losing confidence in the market and they're not setting offer review dates, we would not be setting an offer review date, and 2, we probably would not push pricing at all. But that pushing, as long as your competition is not significantly less than you, and that's the thing you have to watch out for right now. You really need to know who your competition is, and what their, you know, what the pricing is on their home, and what the condition is, and how well prepared they are for market. And you need to be at least as good, if not better, and priced in that same price range. So that's one of the ways you can wind up with more market time, is just simply overpricing your home.
That makes sense.
So one of the other things, and got my papers are all out of order now because I've just been mucking around over here.
You want to go to mistake number 2?
I do want to go to mistake number 2, Dan. Yes.
Mistake
Okay,
number
we're
2.
moving on to mistake number 2. Okay, mistake number 2 is kind of a big deal. Neglecting curb appeal. So some of the things you're looking for when you're trying to address curb appeal is the landscaping, right? Your front door hardware, the lighting, the paint on the exterior of your house, again, the landscaping and your driveway and sidewalk. So just how you, and the bushes, right? Make sure the bushes and the trees are trimmed back so people can actually see your home. A lot of times with time, the vegetation grows and it has a tendency to obscure some homes from the street. And really, it's tough to sell a house that you can't see from the street. It really is, unless it's down a long driveway, in which that's an advantage sometimes. So anyway, but you want to definitely enhance the curb appeal. Don't you think, Dan?
I think so. Makes a big difference.
I think so.
I
I gotta wet my whistle. My water's way over here. Hold on.
Okay.
Kind of dipping out on you guys a few times here during this broadcast.
I was just looking ahead at mistakes number 3 and 4. These are pretty interesting mistakes. Do you mind if we move? Or do you want to?
Yeah. So let's say you have an inspection like a good seller should. Yeah. Doesn't matter the market. Everybody should have every home seller should have a home inspection. So don't ignore doing some of the repairs. Right. So some people think, I'll just provide the inspection report and that'll be good enough. Well, it's not really, because buyers want to see that you maybe have addressed some of the items. I mean, if you're so good at maintaining your home that really nothing comes up, then you might be able to ignore a few things. But you really should address some of the little nitpicky things that you don't want to. So, right down to, let's face it. So often towel bars in bathrooms are loose. And isn't that annoying? Right?
Very annoying.
It's really annoying. And if a buyer walks through and sees that towel bar is, and I have had that in a couple listings, I've had to go in there and actually fix it. It's not my favorite thing, but I don't like my listings on the market with those towel bars hanging loose, because it's a bad look, right?
Yes,
so
yes,
it affects how buyers view the home, their general opinion of the home, when they see just little things like that. I went through a house one time, and I mean, it was right down to there were doors missing on the interior, and I'm not talking closet doors. I'm talking about whole doors. And I was just like, what is happening here? And there was like a hole in the ceiling. And I'm like, why is there a hole in the ceiling? You're walking through this house and there's all these things, and you're scratching your head and you're thinking, are they like, do they know they're on the market? Like, they're on the market to try to sell it, I think, and the owners are living there. It's not a rental. And I just was over here, not too far from where I live. I won't mention the neighborhood. I love that neighborhood.
Well, if you
really close to me, guys. But I don't know what was quite happening. It's the cutest house ever. Oh, it was so cute from the outside. Oh, darling. They were on the market so long. I didn't look at what they sold for, but I know they got hammered.
Yeah.
It was the condition inside. It was just all these little repairs that should have been made. They were things that could have been taken care of fairly easily, really. But the seller just decided not to do it. And I think they thought they didn't have to, or maybe the agent didn't counsel them well. I don't know. Right. But I did feel bad for them.
And then, the beautiful thing is, most of these items on the list that we're talking about, they aren't expensive to fix. And it's really just a matter of paying a little bit of attention to detail for the most part, right?
That's right. And maybe it's just a handyman. Maybe you can fix it. A lot of times it's just a little drywall, patch or something with a little texture and paint. But a lot of this stuff is not really a big deal. But if the inspector mentions it, or you notice it, and everybody and other people notice it, it should probably be addressed.
Right.
So anyway, so making sure there's you're not skipping any easy repairs. You want to do that for sure. Okay. So the next one is a personal pet peeve of mine. Don't use cell phone photos for listing photos. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh man, nothing worse for a seller than to have bad photos. And they can be bad professional photos as well. But you want to make sure that the photos actually show off the best features of the property, are clear and bright, and they make a person come want to see the property. If a photo doesn't make you want to come see the property, it should not probably be in the listing, to be fair, unless we know it's a fixer up right up front. And so people are just trying to get an idea of floor plan or something like that. But typically you're not going to show an unattractive room in a listing unless you don't want to sell your listing.
So I don't know how, but that makes sense. Makes total sense.
I've had an unattractive room or two in my listings. You don't have to show it. I often don't put garage pictures in there because everybody's got their stuff that I told them to get out of the house and put it in the garage. So most of my garages are stuffed when I have listings. You can barely walk in them. I shouldn't laugh because my 4 sellers, but my sellers get sold, and they get sold very quickly. So to be fair, I'm doing them a favor by driving them
and
to the end.
Let me throw a couple things I've learned here over the past several weeks. Clean windows, that's important, and cleaning the windowsills, very important. Right?
Window track stand, not windowsills. Yes, the windowsills should be clean, but yeah. So you want to make sure that the window tracks and the windows are clean on the inside and out. Very, very important. I've got a guy, Tim. He does a great job. Definitely can, drop you a referral contact information for him. He's actually amazing. He makes my windows look brand new. I've got the old anodized aluminum. I'm not embarrassed because they're double pane, but they're dark frame, and I like the dark frame, and it works with my style home, which is kind of a country, it looks like a old country house with double hung windows and French doors and all that. So it works for my aesthetic. So anyway, but he makes my windows look brand new, and they're freaking 40 years old.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. It really is impressive. So yeah, no, he's amazing. And there's nothing like good window washer, and it costs money. It does. It'll probably run you, depending on how big your house is, $500 to $800. Depending. If it's really a big house, it's gonna be more than that for sure, especially if there's skylights. But he's well worth the money, and he can do the glass on your deck railing as well, and get all the water spots off. He can do it too in showers. I know. Don't tell him I said that though. Okay, so I'm not going to mention. Well, I am going to mention the next one. So ignoring like some marketing, like it's really a good idea in this day and age that as good real estate brokers in the state of Washington, that we are getting a lot of marketing out on social media. So that involves having your professional photographer, videographer take a nice short format video of your listing and put together that video and send it over to you. So you can use that. You can cut it up and use it in different forms of social media. So I do that for all my listings. And then also, the Matterport walkthrough 3D tour, the, great, professional photography, drone photos, if that's appropriate. And most of the time, having some drone footage is nice, and including drone video footage. So that can be nice to add to the home video that you publish, on the home's website, because you also should have a website for your home. I'm not trying to show up any other agents, but that's, it's a really good idea, even if it's the one that's provided by the photographers, the photography firm, media team. That can be a really nice bonus. And you can get QR codes and put QR codes for the property home website on your various social media sites and things like that. So people can get additional information, because then they'll have access to the whole listing, which is nice. So anyway, that's social media. So don't miss that. I mean, it's part of the package the agent's supposed to provide. So I wasn't going to mention it because it's not really a mistake by the seller, that's okay. Anyway, agents do a good job. Anyway. All right. So Okay, so this is a good one. This is a good one, you guys. Okay, so what is probably the most important thing? What's the most important thing that a seller can do to get the home ready for a buyer to tour? Leave the house. Don't
Oh,
stay
yeah.
in the garage. No. Don't stay upstairs in a bedroom. No, not outside. No. You have to leave. You have to leave the house, leave the premises, let the buyer enjoy feeling what the house would feel like if they were living there and not confronting the person who is actually occupying the home. So that's probably the biggest, that's one of the biggest things. You have no idea how many sellers stay home. Oh my gosh. Don't do that. That doesn't help you.
No.
Okay, so here, this is another hot button of mine. So I believe we're on number 7. So number 7, staging. Staging is one of the most important things you can do as a seller to help get your home sold quickly. It's because it boosts the attractiveness of the marketing materials that your agent will put together for the property and the videos. It makes all the difference. So you've got flyers and brochures. You've got all the photos and the videos that go online to market your property. All the stuff that the agent puts on your home website is all high definition photography. So having the home stage gives a buyer a sense of proportion. So a room that doesn't look that big when it's empty can look really enormous if you've got a nice sectional sofa in there, and that's an appropriate size for that room, along with artwork, right?
Right.
You can also get a scale for how high the ceilings are, which is helpful, and how big the windows are. It's hard to judge that stuff if you don't have some furniture in there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think staging makes a heck of a difference. I've pulled stats on that before, Dan.
Yes,
And
you
from
do.
my own research for my own clients, I found that in Canyon Park area, that it was 3% difference it made in the sales price of the homes that were staged versus the ones that were not staged. And this is while I was trying to sell a house a couple of years ago. I actually pulled those stats. Most sellers, generally, if I recommend getting their home staged, generally will follow my advice. But if I get a lot of pushback, I don't have to rely on somebody else's numbers. I'll just pull the numbers for myself. So
Right.
I'll just run my own data set. I'll go through the listings, figure out which ones are staged professionally, which ones are not, and then compare and contrast. And the staged ones are always going to sell for more. It's pretty. I mean, I can just say that up front. It's just that it is what it is. I've looked at the data. So sorry, Dan.
I'll bet you that a lot of it has to kind of combining the stats, stage versus non-stage, but I'll bet you a lot of it has to do with the stage houses sell a lot faster. So you're in the 0 to 7 day bucket, or the
That's right. That's right. The staged homes do sell faster. And that's a whole nother set of data that would be really fun to pull, because I don't think I looked at that for my clients. I was looking at, for them, it was kind of bottom line. How much is this going to, how is this going to impact my bottom line is really what I was trying to come up with for them.
Right. Right.
I'm not sure that I pulled how many days on market difference there was. I may have, or I may not. I'm not sure. But I did want to know what the cost would be to them. And it was, at that time, it was about $24,000. And so for them to spend $1,800 to get their home staged in just the main areas was well worthwhile.
Yeah.
They also replaced carpet and stuff. They did a lot of things right.
Right. And then, the beautiful thing, Windermere's got that special program that they can finance a lot of the fixes that need to be made. And then once they sell, they just pay it off, and no fuss, no muss. And that's a heck of a good program. What's that called again, that program?
Oh, the Windermere Ready program?
The Windermere Ready program. That's right. Yes. That's a great program.
So the Windermere Ready program provides sellers, if you don't have the funds to make repairs on your home before you go on the market, you can actually access up to $100,000 from your equity, essentially, to borrow that within. It's very quick turnaround from when you make application to when the funds are available. It's almost immediate. So it's an amazing program. I think it can take up to 14 days from the beginning to actually getting the funds, but it's a very, very quick turnaround. So you can take those funds and put it into getting your home painted if you need to. If you need a new roof, you don't want to try to sell a house with an old roof, because then the buyer is going to have the funds to have that roof replaced. So it is the Windermere Ready program. It is an incredible resource. It costs a couple percent, but and you have to pay it back within 6 months. So you got to know that you're going to get your house sold within a few months. But it's not very expensive for what it offers, if that's what you need as a source of cash.
Right.
And you don't have to provide receipts. You don't have to be working. You just need to have adequate equity in your home. So it is actually a really amazing resource. So somebody that is sitting there that's retired, that hasn't worked in a number of years, and they'd like to sell this home and downsize into a rambler or a nice condo with a view, then they would have the opportunity to tap into the equity and not have to sell their investments. That's the other part of this that's amazing, is, let's face it, if you got money in the stock market, you may not want to sell your stocks, or you may not want to liquidate another asset. And so being able to tap into this equity using the Windermere Ready program is a brilliant strategy for so many reasons. It's not just for people that don't have enough funds. It just could be for people that have their money allocated to other assets, and they don't want to have to try to sell some of those to get a hold of enough money to tackle some, maybe the bigger updates that they might need to make to their home, or address a little bit of what do you call it when you haven't deferred maintenance. You have deferred maintenance. So yes. So when you have a fair amount of deferred maintenance, and having a little bit of extra cash on hand to address that situation, you can do a lot with $30,000, $40,000. And that can go a long way towards, getting your home ready for the market. And you only need $2,000 to $4,000 to stage typically. And that's, for a professional stager.
Right.
So landscaping.
So on numbers 6 through 10, by the way, for our audience, we were talking on numbers 1 through 5 on the home selling mistakes, but not 6 through 10. So I've got to ask a question. It's a burning question that's on my mind. Is getting your own inspection report as a seller, is that on the selling mistake 6 through 10 list?
Well, so you absolutely should have, every seller should absolutely have an inspection done. So
sorry to hit you with that question.
In my mind, it's an absolute huge mistake if a seller does not have an inspection done. That to me, and that can lead, and I'm just going to throw it out there, it can lead to more market time. Why is that? Because a buyer can take a look at the seller's inspection report and make a judgment as to whether they want to move forward towards making an offer on that house without having to think about it or having to write in an inspection contingency. So let's just take for instance. So that buyer that you could have gotten an inspection report and provided to them, you didn't do it. And so now that buyer says, okay, I'm going to make an offer on your house, and you've not only been on the market for 7 days, but I'm going to make a full price offer with an inspection contingency. Now, what happens is, what if the buyer finds out that the roof is 20 years old and it's a 30-year comp in Washington State? The buyer's going to want a new roof. Now, you're probably not going to be willing to give them a new roof, so they're going to ask for that in a credit from the seller. And so now you're looking at probably a good $20,000 credit that the buyer is going to be looking for. Now, let's say as a seller, you're like, no, I don't like that. No, I've only been on the market 1 week. Only been on the market 1 week. I'm not going to credit the buyer $20,000. So seller, now you go back on the market. Now you're waiting. Now it's been more than 7 days. People aren't hot on the trail to come see your property because you've been on the market over 7 days, and you're waiting for more buyers to come through, and you get another buyer with an inspection contingency. Same thing comes up.
Pushes you back.
Can't get around that.
Well, now what happens? Let me give you another question.
So market time.
Market time. Plus, what happens if, I'll just give you an example. And I'm not saying I would do this, but sometimes you get people that are looking for every edge possible when they're buying a house. And if you're selling the house, you need to get every edge possible, right? So what if what if I don't know, maybe you've never had this situation, but what if you have a buyer comes up and says, "Well, I've got the inspection report right here, and all they're doing is waiving some paperwork right there. I got the inspection report right here, and it says on this, but they don't tell the seller because the seller doesn't, have the inspection report. They say
That's right.
it's got a mold problem. We want a discount to take care of this mold problem. May not be a mold problem, but the seller doesn't have the inspection report to back them up. Buyer does, and the buyer kind of fibs a little bit. Does that ever happen? No.
Buyers are not necessarily, they're not telling the seller what's wrong with the house, typically in Washington State.
Okay.
I want to add something here, though. This is a big deal. This is one of the main reasons a seller should have an inspection done before putting their house on the market is mold. If mold is discovered in the attic or the crawl space or anywhere else for that matter, a buyer is going to want to see that that's been cleaned up. So whether it's been cleaned up at, under guidance from a mold specialist, or you've hired someone to come out and clean it up, depending on what would be required there, buyers are going to want to know that was taken care of. And then they're also going to ask, this is the rub. They're also going to ask, why was there mold there to begin with? Because mold grows because of moisture. And so in the attic and in the crawl space, it would be due to a lack of ventilation in most cases. The other cause could be a leak. So an introduction of moisture to those spaces, either from a bathroom fan that was not vented through the roof. So that could be an introduction to moisture in the attic. So what you want to do as a seller, if you discover that you do have mold in your attic or crawl space, you want to ask a professional to come out, whether it's a roofer or someone who specializes in the crawl spaces, and try to figure out if you have adequate ventilation in those areas. Because if you don't, it could be conducive to mold growth. And buyers are not going to buy a house that has an ongoing mold problem in Washington State, because this is I don't want to use the word moist. It's a very wet.
It's a mold
very wet area.
Yes.
We grow mold year round.
We could grow mold in the summer if we have to.
Moss too, mold and moss.
Mold and moss, yes.
And we have a lot of rodents because there's lots of trees. Rodents love trees. They also, you know what else they love, Dan? They love attics, and rodents love crawl spaces too. It's hard to find an attic or a crawl space in Washington State without evidence of rodent intrusion. And I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Myself included.
That's right.
I mean, I feel like I live in the country. I'm surrounded by pastures. They call it like a bucolic view, right? It's gorgeous, but there's a lot of rodents out here.
Yes, there are. But that's part of the charm of Washington. You got a lot of wildlife.
We do have wildlife. Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Yeah, so
just the other day, oh my gosh, I have to tell you the story. So just the other day, I was taking a look at a home in Woodinville, and it was kind of over by the Cottage Lake area. And this couple had this most beautiful little Tudor style home, and on a little bit of acreage. And she took me around. She was showing me the property, and she took me around the back, and we went out through all her gardens, so many raised beds, so many beautiful flowers and gardens everywhere. This property was just amazing, so beautiful, flat. And so we were going down this little path. There's a little creek back there and a pond. It's like, oh my gosh, it just kept going on and on and on. So we're going down this little path and over this little creek, and then back here by where she used to have her bee boxes. And she tells me, she's like, well, that's where I used to have my bee boxes. And she goes, but the bears, they keep stealing the boxes. She goes, I just found one way up that steep hill. So there was like a steep, almost a cliff. And she found the box like 20 feet up that steep, really steep embankment. She said the bear must have like walked on his back legs, because these bee boxes are big. So I had to carry it with his two hands, bare claws, and walk on his two back legs up this steep embankment. Anyway, she was just dumbfounded. right? She's like, I just don't know how they did that. And she's trying to keep these the bee boxes, these honey boxes away from her bears. And so I told my daughter this story about the problem with the bees, the bee boxes, the honey, and the bears. And she's like, oh, she has Pooh bears. I was like, oh, she does. She has Winnie the Pooh type bears. Oh, that's so cute because Honey and Winnie the Pooh. And, anyway, I just thought that was funny. I think somebody sent me a heart. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I know. That's a good story, right? It's so funny.
Well, that's one of those things that happens a little more often over on the east side, like around where we're at.
Yes. Not as much in Seattle. Those are, and again, that was Woodinville. And then I've got bears over by my house, and I'm up here in Cathcart. There's bobcats. We've got bobcats. We got mountain lions. We got coyotes. All kinds of stuff over here.
The trickiest part of those bears to get over to Seattle, it's that I-90 commute. They got to go across.
Yeah, it is the I-90 commute. Yes, and they don't have those nice little animal corridors like they do over 90 over by the pass. When you go into Eastern Washington, they got those animal corridors. They got built bridges for them over the highway, over the freeway. Yeah. Did you see those? Those are cool.
I have seen those.
That's for the animals to get through. It's not like a walkway for humans. It's for the animals.
That's very cool.
It's awesome. It's for the elk to cross the highway. I love that about Washington State. We love our animals. We love our wildlife.
Oh gosh.
Okay. About them that way.
So we haven't hit all of the home selling mistakes yet, right?
No. I was just highlighting a few today. Yes, but there are very many more. One of the biggest ones being, you definitely have to have a home inspection. If you don't have a home inspection, I consider that a critical mistake.
Staging and a home inspection, those are two big.
Staging's a big one too. Overpricing,
yeah.
Yeah, preparing your house for the market, like the whole idea of curb appeal really needs to be good. Right. You're going to lose people when they pull up, right? So if you get great photos out there and your property doesn't look like it does in the pictures, then people are going to drive away. They're not going to come in. So you'll have those appointments that look like someone didn't show up, but they may have stopped and then left. So yes. Oftentimes they don't call and explain.
Well, there is this concept called spend to save. So if you work real hard and you put a little money in your house and you're getting the extra amount of money out of the house because you sell it for full price and you sell it in the first 7 days and you've done everything right, I think you should, treat yourself to a little something. I don't know what that little something.
Oh, yeah? What are you exactly getting at here, Dan?
Well, I'm thinking, if you're a home seller or something like that, maybe a trip to Hawaii or something like that. You say, hey.
Oh, you think my clients should take trips to Hawaii after they sell their house?
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
That's a good idea. Who's going to pay for that, Dan?
The
house. That out of the proceeds of the house?
The proceeds of the house, yes. The house would pay for it, yes.
They might be too exhausted because, my clients lose weight when they they list their house with me. They almost all lose weight. I mean, they look amazing.
They'll look great in the swimsuit, right? The Hawaiian.
They might be swimsuit ready. Oh, my poor clients. Oh, sometimes I feel really bad. I even help them. I had a couple up in Everett last year, and we were supposed to have photos, and I went there in the morning, and the back railing wasn't painted. It's supposed to be painted white, and it was like raw wood. And the post, a couple of the posts weren't painted, and they'd replaced them, but they just never got painted. And the good part of the deck railing wasn't painted. So, oh my gosh. I said, do you guys have primer? Do you have Kills primer here? And so I got my scruffies on, and I got to work painting their railing because the photographer was going to be there at noon. And I tell you, I got it done. Wow. I worked like a dog for like 3 hours, and it was hot. It's hot and sunny. So, but I don't mind doing that if I have to do it. Something that needs to get done and the sellers just didn't have a chance to do it. Yeah, I don't mind rolling up my sleeves once in a while. And if I have time, I can definitely pitch in. I don't mind.
And if they need some carpentry work too.
I don't know if you should be volunteering me for carpentry work. I know I'm a carpenter, but hey, let's not let that secret out of that. Let's not let that cat out of the bag, Dan. I I did show off my mad carpentry skills the other day in a video. I speeded it up, and showed you guys while I was cutting wood for my house. These two 1 by 10 by 8. Oh my gosh. But that was just one thing I did. Oh, you have no idea. Yeah, I put a lot of work into this house this year. Getting it ready for paint. Oh my gosh, what a process. What a process that is.
Yeah.
Next time I ask my clients to paint their house, I'll be remembering exactly what that looked like for me this time. Sometimes it's easier than other times.
The shoe will be
a little more challenging. The house is 40 years old, and they did not use exterior grade wood when they built the porches. Well, that shit's rotted.
Well,
those porches are gonna have to be rebuilt, Dan.
Rebuilt.
So next year or the following year. I can't do it this year. I got no time. I don't have time to do that this year.
No time. Yeah.
No time.
No time. That's a spring project anyway.
I don't know. That's not next spring. Nope. That's, kicking that can down the road a couple years.
That's the spring of 2026 project.
That's a 2026 project. That's what I'm predicting.
Oh gosh. Well, you got anything else today, Kat? Because I got no good.
I'm all fresh out, Dan.
I'm out. I mean, I'm looking at our interest rates right now, and they are what they are.
Got my odds on. See?
There you go.
It's cold out here.
It is. It is cold. I mean, or
September
at least
5th. August. I mean, September 5th and the end of summer is cold.
It is cold. I've been wearing a jacket here the last couple of days. I don't know why it's gotten chilly in the morning. So summer's gone. Fall is here.
Don't know what happened. Don't know what happened this summer.
We hardly knew you. Summer.
Yeah. It was nice summer though. It was really nice.
It was very.
Had a glorious summer. It was very, very comfortable. It was one of the best summers ever. It was amazing.
It was. It really was.
Western Washington summers are glorious across the board.
If there's one thing that comes out of this show today, and I think it was really, really special. I mean, it was really interesting. Is how people can get how much money. It makes a big difference if you're doing all the right steps and getting every dollar for your home properly. And it could add up to a lot of money very quickly, Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. If you're on the market more than 90 days in Snohomish County, it can cost you $90,000 or more. It may not cost you $90,000, but it could cost you, the average is $90,000 is what it costs you to be on the market for over 90 days. So that's kind of jarring. So when you think about it, that's somebody that's overpriced their home by more than 10%, more than likely, or they were not prepared for the market properly. So getting prepared for market doesn't mean you have to spend $100,000.
Right.
It could be $10,000. You probably have to spend something. It could be $10,000. It could be $20,000. It could be $40,000. It depends on the situation. But if you're taking care of deferred maintenance, that matters, because buyers aren't going to just pay you full price for a home that has deferred maintenance. They're not, even no matter what price you end up pricing it at, unless you're way underpriced, you're not going to get full price. They're going to negotiate something off the price for the deferred maintenance. That's just how buyers think.
Well, and moving from the 8 to 14 day bucket to the 15 to 30 day bucket.
Yep.
Oh, that's painful. That is a painful move from one bucket to the next.
That's right, because the 8 to 14 days that you're on the market only costs you 2.75% on average off your selling price. But that next bracket, the 15 to 30 days, costs you 8%. And so that's 5.25% more. So you really, if you can get sold within the first 14 days, it makes a heck of a difference to your bottom line. And these are not numbers that I made up. These are numbers that, took place over the past 180 days, last 6 months, which I feel like is a nice balance, because we had the market when it was kind of going up a little bit from March, April, June. It probably peaked out actually May and then started coming back. The numbers may look higher for the June numbers, but that's May negotiation.
That's the lag effect. Going back to
that's the lag, right? That's a one month lag approximately. And then we've got, June, July, and August, where things started kind of coming back down. Negotiations started going less over asking price and less percentage of sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days on the market. So I feel like it's kind of a nice balance. You know, if you could also take a whole year, and then you would include the slower season as well as that really wild increase January through March. So, you know, I didn't do that today. I just thought a sample set of 6 months would be a nice place to start.
Right.
But we could certainly take a look at the year and see what that looks like. My feeling is the disparity is going to be greater in the winter. So if you're really well prepared for the market, there's still like, let's even take what was it we were talking about today? Was it Mason County or Skagit County, where I think it was Mason County, where they only have like 17 or 19% of sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days. And don't quote me on that. I didn't memorize it. I could look, but I think it's somewhere around 20%. Right. So, you know, but if your house, so think of this, if your house is really well prepared for market in Mason County, you have 1 in 5 sellers going off the market in the first 7 days. There's still a really good chance, if you really are ready for market and your price right, that you're actually going to still sell in that first 7 days. So it's really worthwhile to be prepared for the market when you go on. Well, because you are going to get more money for your house, and people aren't going to try to negotiate with you. No one's going to try to negotiate with somebody who's been on the market 7 days. They'd be batshit crazy. You know, no one's, because the expectation from buyers is that sellers aren't going to drop price in the first 7 days. That doesn't make any sense, especially if they're really well prepared. So they're staged and they've had the home inspection and they've done all the things that they're supposed to do. It makes perfect sense, even in a slower market, to do all the things to get ready for market. Do it anyway, even if the market's slower. It gets more important. And you know what? I think I'm going to pull the winter data now. I'm going to do that, guys. I'm going to see what that looks like. I'm going to pull the slow months and see how bad it gets. Because when you're well prepared, you're still going to fly off the market in the first 14 days.
Right. Well, and the other question I had, I'm sorry to babble on about some of this stuff, but it is a question in my mind. Do you ever run across buyers, the other side of that coin, and as a buying strategy, if in the market, you say, okay, we're not going to look at the first bucket, 0 to 7 days. We're not going to look at the second bucket, 8 to 14 days. But we're going to look at the houses on the third bucket on.
Yes.
To look for deals. Do you ever do that?
Yep. I tell my clients to do that. Find the sellers that have been on the market for over 2 weeks. There's a lot better chance that you're likely to be able to get an inspection if they don't have one provided. And a lot of those don't. Some of them still do. They just somehow missed the mark for some reason in another way. But most of the time, a buyer can get an inspection. They may not have to come in at full price, depending on if the seller had recently done a price reduction. And that way they actually have, free reign to negotiate normally, which is really a relief in this market. So you can ask for things that need to be fixed. Well, not really. You can ask for a credit for things that need to be fixed.
You know what? It's triggered in my mind. A 2-1 buy down. You can ask for a 2-1.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things, and this is, so if you're coming in on a home that's been on the market for 2 weeks or longer, oftentimes I will suggest to the buyer that, hey, listen, let's hit the seller up for a 2-1 buy down so that the payments don't seem so wild the first 2 years. It just allows you to become more acclimated. It frees up a little bit of money for the buyer for extra things that they might want to, do to personalize the home. And it winds up being like a little bit of a savings account, for the buyer with the lender for that first 2 years. So 2-1 buy down is a really nice strategy for buyers and most sellers will give it. Most sellers will agree to a 2-1 buy down if they've been on the market 2 weeks or more. And those will run, so $20,000 probably for price point of $750, financing $600-ish.
I think it's
somewhere in there. So, it's somewhere in there. So, it costs the seller some money, but I often find buyers, when I'm a listing agent, they'll come in and they'll say, well, my buyer can't buy it unless they get a 2-1 buy down. Well, they had to qualify for the loan without the 2-1 buy down.
Yes.
But I let my seller know, and sellers will often acquiesce and just say, you know what, that's not bad,
Right.
because if their first price reduction is probably going to be at least 25,000. And if you're on the market for a month and you haven't sold, things are looking tough. So if you're on the market 2 weeks and you get a buyer that comes along and says, listen, I just want a 2-1 buy down. You guys have the inspection, so we're not going to ask for anything else, just the 2-1 buy down. And that's a really easy fix for a seller. That's a financial concession. And it's not a bad place to wind up in a negotiation.
Right.
Again, because your first price reduction is a lot bigger than that 2-1 buy down.
Right.
To be fair, for prices in where we're located in Snohomish County, where we've got average sales price in Snohomish right now somewhere around 813,000. King County, it's quite a bit higher, but still, so depending on the amount that's being financed, a 2-1 buy down can be a kind of a little bit of a generous thing a seller can do for a buyer without giving away the bank.
Yeah.
So,
and it's sort of a shelter from the storm in a sense, not much of a shelter, but
it is because it gets them sold. I mean, the pretty thing about just giving the buyer that one thing, that buyer's going to be very happy.
Right.
And sometimes, sometimes it's too much, right? So sometimes the seller just feels like, hey, we did all these things to get the house ready for the market. We have the inspection report. We've done all the things right. We don't feel like giving away $20,000. Maybe they'll just do 10.
Yeah.
So maybe the buyer can get a portion paid for
right.
buy down of their interest rate.
Right. Or a 1-0. You could do a 1-0 buy down.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 2-1 buy down.
Right.
So, it can be another form of buy down.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great way to negotiate if a seller's been on the market for 2 weeks or more. I think that's a nice thing for a buyer to be able to ask for. And that's only if the seller provided an inspection. If the seller did not provide an inspection, then you know what?
Open season.
Buyers, open season on the seller. Yep. So buyers could come in and say, I want a 2-1 buy down, and I also want another $5,000 credit for the inspection. So all kinds of things can happen there.
It can turn ugly in a hurry.
Well, and it's because, all of a sudden, most sellers that are really prepared for the market are off the market within the first 14 days.
Right.
To be fair.
And that's where you separate yourself. If you're prepared, you don't run into all these problems, typically speaking. And if you cut a few corners here and there, happens, then you run into some problems down the line, maybe. I mean, a better chance, I would think.
Dan, I was talking to my former client, Carter. He is a really good friend of my daughter's, and through the listing I listed his house. I listed his home up in Granite Falls, and wonderful, sweet guy. Just lost his significant other the other day, actually, due to a battle with cancer. Unexpectedly, lost her due to a battle. They thought they had beat the cancer, and within 24 hours, it was done. So, but you know what he said to me? I was talking to him after he'd lost his significant other, and sent, wishing him my condolences and seeing how he's doing and stuff. You know what he said? Like, we talked for like 45 minutes, but during the conversation, he goes, you knocked it out of the park, Kat, when you listed our house in Granite Falls. And he said, when I'm talking to my friends about what you and your daughter did, because my daughter's a realtor too, and so she referred him to me, and we met with him the first time, him and Rebecca. And he said, it's kind of like when you go on an adventure and you've got a tour guide, right? Whether you're on a fishing expedition or you're, doing some other type of adventure sport. And, if you're going to do something, you ask the guide, and the guide tells you if it's okay whether you do it or not, because they're the expert. He's like, that's how I looked at you, Kat, is you were the expert. And I'm like, you were amazing because you did what I asked. And he's like, well, you made it easy because I did everything, right? I got the painters in there. I got the lighting exchanged. Got my neighbor to do the plugs and the switches, get them all white, So We got new carpet in there. He ended up getting broken into. Oh my God. After we got it sold. Oh my God. He got broken into after it was right after the appraisal. They trashed the place.
Was this the house with the squatters?
Yes, they did. They broke in the middle of the night when the power was out.
Wow.
And they broke, so they took everything was glass. We had a glass kitchen table. They smashed it. They took all the wine bottles. They had wine bottles in there for staging. They took the wine bottles, just threw them at walls and mirrors, and they broke everything. Everything was broken, all the staging stuff. Fortunately, they only broke one window, but they destroyed the bathroom mirrors.
Wow.
Burns in the new carpet. It was brand new carpet. It was burns in the new carpet.
Oh, that's just terrible.
It's sad, but the beauty of the thing is we got it cleaned up right away. I went running up there. I canceled my buyer's appointments for that morning. Called the police, met them up there at the house. The mayor of the town, mayor of Granite Falls, was there. The neighbor, Rob, was there. He's a realtor too. So we always have friendly banter because anyway. But yeah, we all went through the house. I had Carter on speakerphone, actually on FaceTime. Now, as I went through the house, and I was a little in shock because I'm not used to seeing that amount of damage, and so it kind of disarmed me a little bit. So I wasn't really ready to have someone else on the other end watching it with me. I really wish I could have gone through it first, but I had him on FaceTime while we went through the house. But the really cool thing is we got it buttoned up. So Rob, the neighbor, helped me and another neighbor. We put plywood over the window that they had gotten in through. And we were, Carter was able to get a hold of a cleanup company, I think it was Serve Pro, and they were able to come out right away. And I put a contractor lockbox on there that day. And so it was easy for them to come in and clean up all the broken glass and the new carpet and all the, all the stuff that had been damaged. And the stager was really sweet. She was a friend of Rob, one of the neighbors that's a realtor. And she was very sweet, made a little list of everything that had been damaged and just gave it to Carter. And he was able to submit all this stuff to his insurance company and just have it handled. And Rob and I were able to find a glass guy to get in and replace that window all before closing. And it was all done and polished and brand new. And actually the buyer ended up with new mirrors in the bathrooms.
Wow.
and a bit of repaired sheetrock. There were holes in the walls, and they'd swung on the coat rod in the closet, ripped that out of the wall. There's all kinds of little, dang it.
Kids.
But they were kids. They were teenagers. We caught them. They caught them that day. Oh. They were leaving the property and they walked up the street and they were, the neighbor's wife, Rob's wife behind them, had seen the kids leave. So she knew what they were wearing. So anyway, I'm kind of chuckling through it because, no one was hurt. The property wasn't severely damaged. It was a minor bill to the insurance company overall. We did have to have the kitchen flooring replaced. It was linoleum and it was beat up badly with all the broken glass had sliced through it. So we did have to have the vinyl replaced. But overall, the house when it was in nicer condition than when the buyer saw it. So interesting story for sure.
Oh, that is good.
And Carter and Rebecca, again, his significant other that just passed, they were just amazing. So easy to work with, fun to work with, great clients, fun people, big hunters.
Oh man, you see it all in the real estate industry. You really do see it all.
Yeah.
Gosh darn. So, well, anything else, Kat?
I got nothing, Dan.
I've got nothing too. Nothing. Hang on, let me just double check. Oh, nothing.
Yeah. What do you think? Should we sign off?
Let's sign off.
Okay, TikTok, I'm leaving. Bye. Thanks for joining. Love that. And we'll be back again next week, by the way.
Yes.
Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and now.